Hey guys, welcome back. ECMAScript 2020 also introduced a new built-in object called BigInt that allows us to represent whole numbers equal to or larger than 2 raised to the power 53. So if we need a number that might hold a value higher than max safe integer, which is 2 raised to power 53 minus 1. So if we're going to represent or we're going to use a value greater than this integer, then we cannot have one that assure the precision until we use big integer for that. So if I say I want to work with a number such as this one, it tells me that the numeric literals with absolute values equal to 2 raised to the power 53 or greater are too large to be represented accurately as integers. So if we're going to proceed with that kind of number, then we might get precision issues. But now after ECMAScript 2020, if I put an n right after the value to say that I want this to let me specify values even larger than the max safe integer, and as I do this, the warning disappears. And alternatively, we can also call the BigInt function to do the same, that is to create a big integer. So if I go with that syntax, I take a large value, and if I want to make it a big integer, I'll just call this BigInt function. Both are the same thing, but in this case, we still get the warning because this is a function call, a constructor call, which gonna get executed at the runtime. Now let's say if I have a number equal to max safe integer, and now I'm going to perform some calculation on this number, which is going to build this number beyond the max safe integer, let's say number plus 2. And now if I see what we get as a result by running this code, we see this value. Max safe integer is having this value 991 at the end, and the result is getting us 992 at the end, which is an inaccurate number, and this can be a huge problem for the application if the calculation part is serving some real transactions or something of similar importance. But now if I create a big int instead of having a normal number and do the same with this big integer, then I get the correct result. So this is one of the little changes that ES 2020 got that have a big impact on the precision. Now talking about the operations that we can perform on a big int or with a big int, almost all the basic operators work with big int except this zero filled right shift. One more thing about big integer is that big integers are whole numbers, so any operations on them also result into whole numbers. So if you divide one big integer to another big integer, let's say if I have this integer res result, which is result of this big integer number divided by this big int, let's say 7n, and now if I, okay, this has to be 7n, and now if I see what I get in this result, console.log result, and if I run this, I see this having 284 at the end, but let's say this is not a big integer. I'm just gonna log the real result. If I do not have it as a big integer, I just have it as a normal number and divide it by 7. And then if I run this, I see this 284.5. So this is the difference that we get if we are performing some operations with big integers because they are whole numbers, and the result of any operation will also be a whole number. So this was all about BigInt. I hope you guys are enjoying going through these mini yet impactful features. Meet you guys in the next one.